Welcome to your horoscope for the new moon in Pisces. This is happening on the 20th of February at 6 minutes past 6 p.m. if you're in the southern hemisphere with me. And this is one of the most magical evenings of the year. I really feel this one as like a prelude to the influx of change that we're about to experience over the coming years. I feel that the mystical parts of you are really going to show themselves, and I want to really encourage you to align yourself with those sorts of things. So Pisces for you rules your 12th house, which is the house where we find ourselves in dreamland. It's what lays beyond the veil for the high priestess, and it's where we swim around the connective tissue of human consciousness and find coincidences here and there and there and everywhere. It's your magic house, Aries. And so I want you at this new moon to really think about your life in those terms. Maybe it's a bit private too. It doesn't have to be 12th house. You don't have to share it with so many folks. It's almost like it's kind of like unconscious in some way. And so it's up to, you can do what you want. You can absolutely do what you want. But if you're feeling kind of like, trepidatious around these sorts of topics, remember that the 12th house is very private and it's just something for you and you alone and your, dream buddies. I want you to really think about your dreams lately, Pisces. Aries. Interesting. I want you to think about who's coming to you when you dream, who's visiting you. And I wonder if there's some healing that can be found in those dreams. I wonder if there is old stories that maybe can be put to bed. I wonder if you can shed if you shed the layers in some way. A new moon is a place where we get to interact with the lunation. We really get to cast spells, call in the next frontier, where we get to ask for what it is that we hope to see occur in our lives. So a new moon in the 12th house, gee whiz, you could look at it in terms of ancestral healing. That could be something. If there's unconscious parts of your unconscious, parts of your story, that are sort of wrapped up into your physical, that you don't consciously think about, but are sort of in some way affecting your development, affecting your growth. The 12th house is a great place to start journaling about that sort of thing. If it's in Vedic astrology, which is like the traditional, sort of one of the most ancient forms, the 12th house also could be tied to incarceration. And I'll tell you why. And it's really interesting, the language too. Think of the word lunacy. It's about the moon. Think of the word lunatic. It's the same. It's about the moon. It's about the unconscious, unknowable forces of that moon and its effects over us. And so a lunatic asylum could be related to the 12th house. It was a place of incarceration, perhaps for folks that were really moving with, being affected by the invisibility of energetic forces. And this isn't to say, I don't mean to say that I think that it might be a really good moon to trust. I'm going to pull out the moon card too. In the major secrets of the tarot, so if we think that the emperor is Aries, the boss, the daddy, that's Aries. This is Pisces, the moon itself, Luna. So you can see there is a mystery there too, isn't there? I often think about folks that were incarcerated a long time ago, and I often wonder what was the symptom? it's really interesting to go back over the history books and go back over the sort of the different ways that we would relate to one another, and what was cause for incarceration. And in some ways, not so long ago, what was the cause for medication? What was the cause for this, that, and the other? Interesting to think about. Obviously now, in the current age that we live in, we know that these conversations are being actively had also by the folks that are professional in those fields as well, which I really like. There's doorways opening and there's tests being done, all by, resolute professionals, let's hope, on the most part. But what I'm sort of getting at here is this card talks a lot about the tryst between domesticity and between instinct. You can see here there's two creatures that are baying to the full moon. They're being moved by the moon to howl. One of them is a dog. One of them is a fox. There's almost like a sort of duality here, a choice. It's sort of like, will I behave in this way or will I behave in this way? Something's coming, emerging from the water by the light of that moon. What is it? I want you to sort of use this imagery, these conversations, as you think about what you might call in at this Pisces new moon. You've got a lot of power, Aries, in you. Your confidence, obviously, is one thing, sure. Your, intrepid nature to charge ahead, absolutely, absolutely. You're also incredibly magical. You have access, probably close. A Pisces, sure, absolutely, they do. If I'm talking about an Aries rising and talking about the journey of the soul through the zodiac, you've just left the 12th house. You've come from there. You sort of know it by the, like, it's second fiddle to you. So I imagine in some ways that might almost bring up like frustration with other folks, because you're sort of like, this is magic. You're magical. I love you. Why don't you see it? Or yeah, why don't, like, that's what I've been trying to say. It's almost there's a kind of frustration that can sort of come out in you, Aries, because you're so close to that world. You're so close. You're so in touch with your unconscious self. I wonder if you will be a puppy dog or if you will be a fox. I wonder. The moon and the sun will be at 1 degree of Pisces. And so in the tarot, it's the 8 of Cups that holds bearance over that decan, that first wedge of Pisces. The 8 of Cups talks a lot about a journey. You can see there's 8 cups here. There's emotional lessons. There's grief, loss, sorrow, ecstasy, all of the beautiful things that we get to experience with our water body, with our emotions. And this individual here, by the light of the moon, is going out, seeking, finding that missing cup. So I wonder if that's sort of how you're feeling as well. And is there a feeling of like, I'm ready for this? I wish to learn more. I wish to journey. I wish to trip out, man, and see what's beyond, what's in the next dimension. That could be something that's happening for you too. Vesta is in Aries at the moment, the asteroid Vesta. Now, I can relate the energy of Vesta to the Queen of Wands. So have a think about that. Vesta was the goddess of the sacred flame, the light of God, the spiritual essence. And Vesta needed nothing. Vesta wanted for nothing but to devote themselves to that light. Vesta's in opposition with Ceres, another asteroid. It's an exact one, so I thought that I'd mention it here, and we'll see if it comes out as to why, and maybe you can relate your own experience to this story. Ceres is a very different energy. Ceres was the goddess of agriculture. Ceres was the one who learned and taught the way of the crops and the harvest, and who brought about intellect and intel into how to generate the systems of the earth, how to work with the cycles of the earth. Ceres' daughter Persephone was kidnapped by Pluto, and so Ceres, in her quest into the underground, into the depths, the underbelly of life itself, of the earth and everything below. Ceres went to go and get her daughter and to bring her back, to save her from Pluto's advances, from Pluto's hunger. In her absence, the seasons changed and they fell to winter. There's a sort of Genesis story about winter in the mythology of Ceres. When I think about the winter of life in the person, we could think to things like depression, or we could think to things like sort of colder moments in life when we feel alone, when we feel left out or abandoned. There's a tryst here that's going on between your fire queen, and this story of abandonment, this story of seeking out, of journeying to get back what is rightfully yours in your 7th house of relationship, Aries. This is very interesting to me. And so I wonder if you can feel that sort of push and pull too. You're sort of wanting to maintain your fire, devote yourself to your magic. And yet there's something in the 7th house, there's something that feels like it's also a mission that you need to get back. It could be as simple as something inside of yourself. It could be as simple as coming back into a frame of mind that is clear and true and honest. Wait for it. Yeah, all right, I got it. Got the Knight of Swords in reverse, the 6 of Swords upright, Justice in reverse, and the 10 of Wands in reverse. Now, Justice is Libra. Justice is your 7th house, Aries. It's the house of equity, right relationship, of balance, of fairness, and also connection. And so this is in reverse. So this is telling me that there's a lopsidedness at the moment. There's sort of things and scenarios in your 7th house. Perhaps there's been some falsehoods that I really see. There's been someone that's come in, barged in with lies rather than the truth, or they're telling you something about yourself that I don't believe. That's what I see here. And you're being called upon to enact a boundary. You can see Saturn in Aquarius right here with this card. And that's really powerful. That's going to help you along. You're protected, Aries, from this lie. And I'm not sure where it's coming from, but someone's telling you something about yourself that I don't believe for a second. And I don't think that you should either. Because on the other hand here, we have the 10 of Wands and it's in reverse. So this isn't over yet. This is a magical cycle. When we see wands, we see magic. When we see 10, we see culmination, we see ending. We know that this way, there's an exhaustive feeling about this. It's almost as if this witch is like building herself her own pyre to set herself on fire because she's done. This way, not so. This is, you've still got steam in the tank and you still can go on. And actually what you're creating and what you're doing, Aries, is magical. What you're focusing on, your life's work, your interests, as disparate as they might be from some of this intellectual sparring in your 7th house, you're being criticized in your relationships, and not by everyone, but there's definitely a feeling. The 7th house can be, it's a broader scope. It's how we come into relationship with other people. It's not just lovers, it can also be, family members and also close enemies. There's another way to read it too. In any event, I don't want you to believe any of this untruth. It's not that people are trying to hold you in place in some way, or they're trying to awaken, they're trying to silence your nature, and they're trying to impose their perspective or their fears and their worries onto you, Aries. And I want you to drop this like that. You don't need that, because you can create your own life. You can create your own environment of magic. Your brain is so brilliant, Aries. You're very smart. And you know what you are capable of. So I want you to go out there and get it. And I want you to call in the power of this Pisces new moon to help you along. And maybe, like if it's ancestral work or spirit work, whatever it is that you do, honey, you do it. You do it. You channel in your work, don't you? It's more than they think. You're doing beautiful work. All right, that's your reading, Aries. I hope it was good. I love you so much, sincerely. And I'll be speaking to you in 2 weeks for the full moon in Virgo. So what I want you to do is head to Umarubi, book in your birth chart reading with me. I'd love to meet you if I haven't already. And you can also drop some tip money in the jar at buymeacoffee.com/Umarubi. If you wanted to pick a reading, I reckon pick the spirit reading, because that delves a little deeper. We go into the significations of your rising sign, which I tend to believe hold the keys to your soul's purpose in this lifetime. Lofty stuff, magical stuff. You believe me, right? I believe you. All right, Aries, you take care. I love you. Bye.